guys, it's your handy homegirl Danny, and welcome back to my channel, Danny Did It, which is a DIY channel dedicated exclusively to showing you how to do it yourself. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you some frequently asked questions about epoxy resin. Okay, so if you are wondering what it is, what do you use it for, how to clean it, all of that good stuff, just keep watching. So before we begin with the frequently asked questions, do me a favor, consider subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell notification so that you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. Again, this channel is exclusively dedicated to showing you how to do it yourself. Let's get right into the questions. Epoxy materials are two-component polymers consistent of the polymer itself and the hardener accelerator as the second component, which you'll see here. So it's going to normally come in a part A as well as a part B. Epoxy has been around for more than 50 years, and it is one of the most strongest and successful of the plastic family. Epoxy in its many formulation is used as an adhesive, a coating for metals, insulation for electronics, model making, and frequently used in all types of DIY craft projects. So that can be wall art, it can be tabletop countertops, as well as floors, jewelry making, ashtrays, all kinds of things. Epoxy types can vary widely. Some key things to look for would be nozzle time, gel time, sag, cure, those kind of things, and as well as chemical resistance. So each property will affect what makes the product ideal for the intended application. So again, you just want to make sure you're reading over all of the descriptions and making sure that you are choosing the right epoxy for your project. So right here I have a company from MAS, and they carry the epoxy. Right here what I have is the tabletop. Again, it comes in a two-part mixture. You will mix 1-to-1, and I'm going to be using it for creating some sample boards today, but this tabletop obviously is used ideally for tabletops and updating laminate countertops. If you use the Art Pro, that has a longer working time, which means once you mix the two-part epoxy, there's only a certain amount of time that you have to handle and deal with the product. So with the Art one, when you're doing wall art and things like that, you want to be able to move the product around and play with it a little bit more longer than you would doing a tabletop or a countertop pour. Also, like if you're using the deep pour for those beautiful river tables that we see some people are creating, you want to just again make sure that you're deciding which epoxy is going to be best for what project you're using before you get started. Now, generally, epoxy cures faster when it's being worked in warmer temperatures. Okay, there's an exothermic heat that is produced by the chemical reaction that cures the epoxy. So typically, you want to be working with rooms at least 70 degrees or higher. If you're storing your epoxy in cooler temperatures, maybe it's not the summertime, it's winter where you are, or you know, colder temperatures, you want to heat up the product before you start to use it. It has, you know, a certain viscosity. However, again, once it's warmed, it's able to move frequently, it's able to get mixed better. So sometimes you might want to sit your epoxy in front of a heater, you know, at least 24 hours before you even start to work with the product, just because again, it mixes better once the product is warmed up. So when working with epoxy, of course, you always want to make sure that you are using the proper safety gear. Okay, so that means some gloves. We're using nitrile gloves to work with the product. You want to make sure you're wearing a mask if you're not in a well ventilated area. You always want to make sure you have some stirring sticks, of course all of your mixing products, and if just so happens to get some epoxy onto your skin, you do want to be diligent in making sure that it is clean and removed properly in a good amount of time. You don't want it to set into your skin, and of course you know, over time, the more and more epoxy that gets onto your skin is going to be more harmful. I would just grab some white cleaning vinegar, you know, use a cotton ball to remove it from the surface, and once that's cleaned off, just some soap and water should do the trick. If you are cleaning your tools, like for instance, this mixer here I'm going to be using in my next video. This mixer is attached to the drill to mix the epoxy in your bucket. Once that is complete, you can either clean it off immediately by using some denatured alcohol, acetone, or 91% isopropyl alcohol. Or if you're going to be using it quite frequently, there's nothing wrong with pouring that acetone into a bucket and literally allowing it to sit in there until your next use. So again, it just really depends on how frequently you'll be using the products, but I always recommend cleaning up as soon as you're done working with it. We have here a spreader that we use to spread the epoxy. Once the epoxy sets up, it gets extremely hard. So again, the sooner that you clean off the materials, is going to be easier for you to reuse them again in the future. Now, most epoxies are safe and considered to be non-toxic and food safe for countertops once the resin has fully cured. Again, as always, I'm going to always refer you to go back to the manufacturer's descriptions so you can determine if that is the right product for you. Again, mostly of them are non-toxic, so you shouldn't have any issues. Like most chemicals, all epoxy resins generally have some kind of odor. They can range from discreet and harmless to powerful and noxious. So your best practice is always using safety measures, your gloves, your mask, and goggles when working with the product, making sure you're in a well ventilated area. Normally when I'm working with the epoxy, I don't find to have an overbearing smell, especially with the MAS product that I use here. So that's just something to be mindful of. Epoxy offers homeowners an inexpensive way to update their laminate counters and make them look brand new again. Of course, when it's applied properly. Epoxy coatings create a finish that is strong, durable, attractive, and lasts for years. The best part is you get to choose any colors that you like that would match your home decor. Again, I am a strong subscriber to epoxy countertop finishes. It's inexpensive and it just looks beautiful. Alright guys, that is all of the frequently asked questions that I'm covering today. Those are the most frequent ones that I come across. It was some of the most general questions that I had before I decided to start on my epoxy journey. But again, if you guys still have more questions or you are unclear about anything that we discussed here in the video, be sure to drop some comments down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up so that we can grow. That is the only way we will do so. I'm going to see y'all in my next video.